Coming to you from Strings and Things Studio in Ventura, California, this is the Strings Unraveled podcast.
Woohoo!
What's going on?
We're all here on a Friday night.
Yep,
It's the best place to be on a Friday night.
And you know, we could have probably been here also Saturday night. Like, I got great plans.
Nope.
Yeah,
I'm here on a Saturday night.
This weekend, I'm thinking, but it might be put off. There's an Ansel Adams, original print, original photographs at the Thousand Oaks Art Museum, which is called CMATO. I think it's... I'll have to look it up, but Ansel Adams.
That sounds awesome.
Huge collection of Ansel Adams photographs. And I do want to go do that this weekend. I don't think it's going to happen. I think it might be next weekend.
The California Museum of Art of Thousand Oaks.
That's it.
CMATO. There you go.
So their acronym worked on me.
I wonder how long it is going to be there.
I think it's almost a month.
Like if you're going to hear this before it's gone. It opens the 21st of February through March 24th. So
plenty of time to go see it.
Well, that
so
sounds
that's
interesting.
Something I was thinking about. Also, I want to go to this new restaurant.
What is it?
Because we're planning our Saturday, right?
Yeah. What are your weekend plans?
BierBrats in Ventura over by Big Lots.
BierBrats in Ventura by Big...
Custom hot dogs and beer hall.
That sounds awesome.
And I've been stalking them on Instagram for a couple months. And I am going to make Kevin take me there tomorrow night. I can't wait.
That sounds awesome.
I hope
that sounds right up your alley.
Yes, it is. Exactly me. I can hardly wait. I've been daydreaming about it all day.
I'm going to look at a trailer that I want to buy this weekend.
Ooh, a trailer?
Yeah.
Like, are you going to tell us more about this?
James and I are going to buy a camper travel trailer, and we've been looking for a couple months.
For the Independence?
Just camping in general.
Oh.
So we've been looking at various ones. I found a 1993 Casita 17-foot, if anybody knows what that is, but they're like these little roundy, cute fiberglass trailers. It's either a Casita or a Scamp, and they're kind of like cult trailer, like people who know trailers know that these are cool apparently. But I found one on Craigslist that I'm going to go look at tomorrow. So that's what I'm doing with my Saturday.
That's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's like, Casitas is the other
Casita.
one? Casita. Oh,
That's the one I'm looking at.
Casa.
Yep.
Casita.
A little casita. I'm going to look at one tomorrow.
Those are pretty cute
It's 26 years old is the one I'm looking at because it's from 1993. I don't know what state it's in, but that's what I'm doing.
One of the images is labeled
How
the cult
cute
of
is
the
that?
Casita.
Yeah, they're like
totally. I want
they're
the
like
cult
hardcore.
one.
That is very cute.
Yeah.
Wow.
I found one on Craigslist for a good price, so I'm gonna go check it out.
See, that's the thing I want to do when my husband can retire.
I want to be that.
my dream is to just go from place to place. Just don't worry about a hotel because I'm not a hotel. I am not room service.
I love staying at hotels. That's my favorite part of going on vacation.
But
if
you
we're
also
not,
love camping.
no, I know. If we're not camping, I want to stay at James could probably convince me to go anywhere. If I could hang out at the hotel by the pool and someone will bring me a beverage and I can knit. I love hotels. I love staying in hotels. Sorry, I interrupted you.
I'm more independent than that. I just want to haul my trailer and just park it someplace.
I like both of those things.
Kevin has
Of course, I like that dream because I know nothing about it. I don't know anything about the work of it.
Yeah.
Or I just have the dream in my head. The reality might make me love hotels.
Kevin has a daydream that we will also sell our house and that we'll get a self-driving motorhome.
Nice. In the future.
Yeah, he figures by the time that we're ready to retire, that self-driving motorhome.
That does sound pretty great.
Yeah. And so we'll just set in where we want to go and
go hang out.
Yeah, or
play
go
cards.
to bed.
Yeah.
It'll just drive us in the night.
Yeah.
You guys saw Logan,
It's
right?
like being a baby when you go to bed and then you wake up and your parents have taken you somewhere in the car.
Yes, just like that. And we'll just run around the world, around the continental United States that way. Which sounds pretty good to me.
My dream is the Happier Camper. Have you
seen
them?
I've seen those. Those are expensive.
Well,
but they're super cute.
That's the dream.
Yeah.
Well, I like because they're modular inside, and so you can rearrange it. You can mix it depending on what your trip is.
Yeah.
Again, this is like the when we're retired dream.
Yeah, exactly.
We still have a ways. Not that we're not older, but we just, we'll be working for a long time.
I started following somebody on Instagram, and I can't find her by quickly glancing at things I saved recently, who she and her husband just refurbished a really cute trailer, but it looked more like it wasn't a Airstream. It was something in that same kind of aluminum sided.
I love Airstream.
But they put wood paneling in there. It was.
I've sort of fallen down a hole of watching trailer restoration videos on YouTube because like this is the vintage trailer I bought for $40 out of someone's yard, and like then it's like a time lapse of them renovating it. So I've been watching a lot of those.
I love watching tiny house hunters.
Yeah. It always seems like such a thing. Like I would love to have a tiny house, but I know it's not. It's not possible.
No. So here's the.
I like imagining.
Yeah. I want to have a property where we don't have to have a big house, because if you have a big house, then you got to take care of a big house. Yes. I want a house just big enough so that when the kids come visit, they're not comfortable enough to stay very long, and then they can go. Don't listen to my podcast, kids.
My mom had that idea too for her guest room, and she went to the mattress store and she's like, I want a mattress that doesn't make people want to stay one more night. And it's really like you don't even want to stay there one night. It's a bad mattress.
I don't want that.
That's funny.
But I thought that on the property can be bigger, because the house doesn't have to be bigger, because we'll have 2 of these little tiny houses. One to be my yarn studio, and the other will be my husband's music room. Aww. And we will totally pad that out so that he can be as loud as he wants, and I won't have to send my son upstairs and say, tell your dad to turn it down because he's too loud. That happens a lot.
Well, that's a really nice daydream. And it's like within reach, isn't it? Like hypothetically, depending on where you ended up. I was just slightly having this daydream that in 30 years we all caravan around in our
and each of us have a trailer and go on adventures.
I would do that.
Put your sweet little one to a self-driving car.
Okay.
Yeah. And maybe that's what the solution ends up being later.
Well, if we're going to do that, then I just think we need to buy our own train cars and have
just rail around.
And have robots. If we're going to have a fantasy, we're going to have robots. We'll program the robots to take us, and we'll just have our own sleeper car. We'll have our own knitting car.
All I said was I was going to go look at a trailer this weekend.
There's no shortage of sci-fi.
We're going out of town next weekend to Independence, and so it's like sort of. I'm more excited about this than James is. So it's like sort of my goal to see if we can get something by this weekend. Wow. So we've been looking for months.
Yeah.
And I don't think that James would be willing to do that. But I'm like, well, wouldn't it be fun if we could take our new trailer with us? But I don't know if that's going to happen.
So is James like a slow considering purchaser?
I would be like, my example that I always think is I bought that book that Lois had about Jenny's ice cream.
Yes.
With the ice cream recipes.
And then you bought all the
ice cream bought it, and then I went the next day and bought an ice cream maker.
Yeah.
And the nearest one I could find.
Yes.
Because I needed to have it.
Yes.
Yeah.
If that were James, he would take 2 weeks to research all the ice cream makers before he struggled to make the decision to buy one. And I'm like, just buy an ice cream maker. Okay. So yes, it's hard for James to pull the trigger on any sort of purchase.
This is why.
And I'm like, just buy it right now.
That is exactly why internet shopping has saved our marriage. Because back before there was internet, and I had 2 little ones, and my husband would say, let's go, I'm ready for us to buy this thing. And we would go to that store. But of course we would wait in a line. And when we'd waited like 15 minutes, because it's a long line, and we're one person only ahead of us, right? We're almost there.
Yeah.
He'd be at that point so frustrated. He would just say, no, we should go to the other store.
Yeah.
And we would leave that store with our 2 kids, and we would go across town to this other store. And he would look and shop at that store, and he would maybe decide, and they go, no, well, we got to go back to the first place. After having done that, and then at Christmas time, I said, no.
Jim still walks the planet and lives.
Because there is internet. Because there's an Amazon. Because
Amazon saved your husband's life.
Well, I said
because I would take him out on just virtue of this story.
Imagine there's a toddler and the other one's in a baby carrier.
No,
thank you.
I will not.
No, it was not fun.
That's a horror movie I didn't sign up for.
Yeah, well, I canceled that subscription and I said, you go decide, you do your back and forth, and when you're ready to pull the trigger, go ahead and buy it. I don't have to be there. I totally trust you.
Smart lady.
I was like, because, one of our kids was really easy going. The other one screamed his head off the moment he went into a car seat and never stopped. Mm-hmm. We would be on a 5-hour car trip home and he never stopped. And by the time he finished, half of us might still be in tears because it was just, you think you were going to pull over and just kind of get him relaxed and he'd be happy and fine until you strap him in that seat again. And then no. Yeah.
You know who you are.
And your girlfriend...
Well, now we all know which one it is, too.
So Trevor cried a lot as a baby?
Well, it's okay. He doesn't listen to my podcast until now.
But Ian, are you listening?
Well, Ian knows he was the easy child. Boy, he was just easy. We traveled all over the place. But then by the time you get to the third child, you're like...
Yeah.
There's reasons when we would go up to Mammoth that we made a wall of pillows between the children.
That's smart.
Okay, so speaking of, your family, they've gone on that trip since you were little. How did they handle road trips with kids?
I mean, as children, we went camping and stuff a lot, so I don't remember as children, but my sister is driving to Independence today with her 2 boys, so I got a picture of my nephew Finnegan with a very grumpy look on his face. I think I might still have it. But
How long is the drive from here to Independence?
From here is about 4 hours. From home it's like 3.5.
Oh, that's a difference.
Yeah, but I got a picture of Finnegan with his hands over his ears with a very grumpy face, so I don't know what he was angry about. And then I got another picture of my other nephew when they got to the halfway point where it says he's happy to be out of the car at McDonald's.
So happy.
So you'd never
but he's
know
the one
grumpy.
that used to cry in the car like
hours.
Your unnamed son.
Yes.
But
I think he outed him.
He has since learned to handle himself a little bit better in the car. The key is music.
Yeah.
We have a certain number of songs in the car that specifically his younger brother Owen will calm down to. When he was little, he was obsessed with one of the songs from Moana. And like when he was a baby, he could be like crying in the car and you would play it and he would stop crying.
Very nice.
So
oh, that's awesome.
That's how it works.
Do you guys know about Baby Shark?
What?
That's one of the many songs.
Okay, I'm going to tell you a quick story and then we'll move to the next thing. So we're reading The Swiss Family Robinson at home as our read aloud. And it's slow going because it's just dense text and we're only in chapter 2 and they're still getting everything off of the shipwreck. So the dad and the oldest son go and they're getting all the animals off the shipwreck. And they're trying to figure out how do they get the animals over to shore. So they devised the swimming belts where they tied linen around the body of a sheep and they
float them down,
cork and empty tin cans onto the belts, and the dad takes the sheep and this is almost exactly the text, and I threw the sheep into the ocean comma it sank dash it popped right back up again. So
I can see your kids' faces going.
They laugh for like 15 minutes.
Back up again.
And this is slow going, right? We're only reading for 20 minutes at a time right now. So, so then it goes on. The chapter wraps up, and they get it. They gather all the leash. They tied leashes to the swimming belts, and they gather it up, and they're taking the animals into shore. And as they're almost to shore, a shark comes, and a shark tries to go after that sheep. And the oldest son shoots a rifle, hits it in the fin, and it swims away. But then Marabella goes into
No.
And then I get punished by them asking Google to please play the whole song. So we don't need to go any
No, I do not want to hear Baby Shark right now.
You all check out Baby Shark.
If you have grandchildren or children, you know Baby Shark. If you have children in your life under I don't know what age. 10 years old. You probably know Baby Shark.
I did not tell this story with the intention of doing what the result is, which is now Baby Shark is stuck in everyone's head who knows what it is.
Oh, I have a song to sing.
But I did do that when I told it at work. I completely intended to get it stuck in my coworkers. And it worked.
Yep.
And you know what? The remedy for it is you do have to listen to the whole song so you can move on.
Oh, okay. I don't want to listen to it, though.
Do you guys know the Badger song?
I do.
Yes.
Which we
I
fight.
love
Yeah.
Badger.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's me! Well, okay, there was another song by that same group, Magical Trevor, and we used to sing that along. Everybody knows Magical Trevor. No. But when they talked about he's full of beans, lots of beans, lots of beans, lots of beans. Yeah, that was pretty appropriate.
That's funny.
So she's gonna love me when we get home.
Yeah, probably.
What are we working on? Not just. Oh, I've got lots of things I'm working on. I actually made notes.
In front of you.
Well, I've got everything in front of me. Okay, so one thing I made today is this adorable little pin cushion, and it's from a new book called Pin Pals by Carrie Nelson. 40 patchwork pennies, poppets. I'm not sure what a poppet is, and pin cushions. Oh, it is a really cute thing, and you make them with like little bits and. I mean, seriously, like some of these little bits were only like 1.5 inches or 1.25 inches. They're not big pieces. Simple piecing that you can machine piece, or you could hand piece it if you want something small and portable. The hardest thing about this is not throwing it across the room, because I really want to throw this thing.
One of us is going to get hit by it. We don't know which one it is.
Not because you're mad at it. It just seems fun to throw.
So besides being a pin cushion,
she's threatened me. She's threatened Anne. We feel unsafe in the workplace.
Who's our HR?
Yeah, both of us are. We gang up on her.
Yeah. We can't make her HR because she's the one causing the problem.
Yes, I am HR.
No.
Anyway, it's just this cute little thing, and there's so many cute little patterns. They become addicting because it's a nice quick. They make cute little gifts. You could just fill them and make them sachets, but I just put weighted pellets in it. So when you're not using it for a pin cushion, take the pins out and play cornhole. But that's one thing.
It's very cute.
And I'm working on another East Creek. From East Creek is a really great pattern by Brittany Jean, aka B.Woolens on Ravelry. And for my this East Creek, because the original class sample has been in the store. No, it's not there now because I wore it home because class has already started, but I will bring it back. But it's a garter raglan's top down raglan sleeve garter stitch sweater that goes in the round to the armholes, and then after that each section is the back, the front, the sleeve is all done flat. And then you use your crochet hook to put them together, and it's got pockets. But for this one I got 7 skeins, which is more than I needed, but I just wanted plenty of Felice worsted in the bear colorway, and I dyed it myself. So
B-A-R-E. B-A-E-A-R.
B-A-R-E, as in she barely wore a stitch. And it goes from this really pretty speckled hot pink at the neck to this really, really deep crimson at the bottom. And so I'm fading it myself. But I dyed some yarn, and I'm pretty happy with that.
It looks like a fun pattern. It's one of those that I've always wanted to make.
It is, and it's actually pretty relaxing. It's one of her first patterns, and it was really well written and very clear. This is the second time I'm teaching it as a class.
I've been wanting more of those like basic throw over like sweatshirt kind of sweaters.
It is. I wear this like every morning when you're cold, or even when you're not cold, and it's called, I need to take my child to the bus and I'm still in my pajamas. I'm going to throw this I'm going to throw this on, and maybe I won't get out of my pajamas today because my sweater's so comfortable. It gives you
like a real life story.
I only got out of my sweatpants today to come here, and I only put leggings on, so I didn't travel that far.
You could have left your sweatpants on.
You could have, but I also had errands to run.
Yeah,
I had to look somewhat presentable.
Stopping at Target, only we got out of work late, and I had to take Alexander somewhere. I thought about stopping at Target and getting a new pair of pajamas and just changing into my pajamas.
I would have been fine with that.
Yeah.
I should keep pajamas here.
I should keep
sweatpants here. I'm making pajama pants now. I might have pajama pants here, actually, because I taught them for a class, and I might have a sample here somewhere. I should find those.
Well, that is kind of interesting.
I already have slippers.
Yep. The slippers are here.
Oh, one other thing.
I've gotten some licks when I changed my slippers. I wonder how they'll feel when I change
when I'm wearing my sweatpants.
Studio pajamas. In my jams this Saturday.
I just want everybody to be comfortable.
I totally dare you.
Tomorrow.
Sounds so easy.
But maybe the caveat is I have to make them.
Okay, I think so. I've got one more thing in front of me.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
And so there's a new podcast I've been following, a gal by the name of Nadira Tani on Ravelry. She her name is Kalisha Ryan, but on Ravelry she's Nadira Tani, Nadiratani, and she has the Quirky Monday podcast on YouTube, but she also has a group called the Quirky Monday podcast, and she's out of Florida and does this really. Now, just so you know, her podcasts don't come out on Monday. They actually come out on Friday. But that makes them quirky.
Fridays are a very quirky Monday.
Fridays are a real quirky Monday.
So she has a thing so that just started on the February 19th, and it goes through March 22nd, I think. It's for the Pisces. She's calling it a make-along. So it's not just a knitting or a crochet thing. It's a making thing. You could sew a thing. You could, and it should. And I donated a couple copies of one of my patterns for that. And so I thought for me to participate, I'm going to actually do cross stitch.
Can you pause for a second?
Okay, go ahead. Okay, so I decided I was going to do this. I found a pattern called the Twin Mermaids. So they're kind of fish and water related, but I like mermaid things. And I haven't done cross stitch in a long time. In fact, one of the first crafty type things I did early in life was cross stitch, and I did all kinds of cross stitch. But then when my hands discovered knitting, it stopped cross stitching and just didn't look back. So this is the first time really in almost 20 years that I've picked up cross stitching again. Of course, I picked up something that's not on Aida cloth, which is those really nice grid, but this is on linen. But I marked it off with threads, so I've got at least a starting point. I like counted cross stitches, grids, and math, and all the stuff beautiful. But it's got like 50 different colors of yarn. Thread, that's right. Well, it's really fun. What is thread, but just really skinny yarn. So if you have a chance to look up, the company, it's called Twin Mermaids by Mirabilia Cross Stitch. And it has a very vintage, what is a neo
aesthetic?
Well, you're neoclassic.
No.
You're thinking of the 20s and 30s.
It looks like it's from the 20s and 30s, but this design came out in 2000.
It does look very vintage.
But it came out in 2015, and the picture is just really cool. It doesn't really show you that there's lots and lots of beads and butte and all kinds of shapes in there, but. Anyway, there's two, that's the twins, there's two mermaids, and and they have really pretty body tattoos as well as artwork on...
Art Nouveau.
Art Nouveau.
Oh, there you go.
That's it. It has a very Art Nouveau feel to it, but it's actually a modern pattern, so...
Cool. It's real pretty.
It is really pretty, and it's got some shiny, sparkly
stuff. How big is
stuff.
the finished piece going to be?
Let me open this up. It says it will be, stitched area is... basically 15 by 17, so it's a pretty good sized thing.
Cool.
On linen, 32 count. This is Belfast linen, which is, I did not know that was a thing.
That
I
means
guess
nothing
Irish linen. So 32 count means that the weave, the squares that the weave makes is really, really small.
Yeah.
But you're doing your X's over two of them, which I was talking with someone about, various needle crafts, and they talked about how when they were younger, needlepoint, everyone was doing needlepoint, but she didn't quite get into it. And I realized I never really liked needlepoint because it's half of the X. It's like
incomplete to you.
It's incomplete.
Yeah, it seems wrong.
I want the whole X instead of just always going one direction.
It's balance. There's something to that.
So,
I think like this is too big of a project, but for me,
this is not going to get done. If I could just get one part of the mermaid done, I don't think in a month, I don't think I'm getting this done.
No.
Well, you could set a goal of a certain like grid size.
Well, I started this yesterday.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that is a lot.
Like if you counted off the grids, you could make it bite size into like a daily goal.
Yes. So I
It's
counted
a
out the
huge
groups
grid.
of I counted out the groups of 10. It is 240 twice up by.
It's a big
But
old chart.
But 10 is a grid, right?
Yeah.
So it's
Well,
24
24 high.
by.
We'll double that.
No,
though, right?
no. That's only half.
Oh, it's 48.
48.
So 140. That's 280 high by 240.
So
wide.
in a year.
Yeah.
Or maybe you do 4 grids.
Oh,
as
okay.
a
So,
day.
hey, what do you know? They give you the actual stitches here. 238 by 278.
Wow.
Nice.
That's big.
Yeah. But you know what? I mean, I've got, and I love the colors. There's blues and greens and they're oceany. Plus they're mermaids. Who doesn't love a mermaid?
I think that the person I'm going to quote would be comfortable with me quoting. I haven't asked her permission, so I'm sorry if you're not comfortable, and we'll talk about it in real life. Mindy said something really cool about sweaters in my sweater class on Wednesday. Each sweater will be finished in its time.
She told me that
So
too.
true.
It's like
That's so
each
good.
project will be finished in its due time, and I'm like, you're right. We just haven't given it enough time yet.
Obviously, she is an accredited yoga teacher.
Yes, that's true.
But isn't it true?
It's beautiful.
It doesn't mean you enjoy something less, but it's about enjoying the process and not just checking off the box.
The universe is processes, not things. The bonus here is we get a thing.
Yep.
Because that's always a dangerous question when people say, not dangerous, but it's like a tricky question when people say, well, how long did that take you? Or how long have you been working on that?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have a sweater that I started in the first week in January that I only worked on for like a week, and it's almost halfway done.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's, the end of February.
Yeah, its time has passed for now, but...
Yeah. So I could work on it for, it could take me 2 years to finish, but maybe only 30 hours.
Yeah, I'm always like, I don't know how long this actually... Well, how much knitting time did it take you? I'm like, I don't know.
I don't keep track of...
Sometimes I do. It's a little bit of a sick fascination with me to like time myself or...
I've done that before. If it's like, I have to knit 100 rows and it takes me 2 minutes to knit a row, and now I know exactly how much time I have ahead of me. And sometimes it's very discouraging to do that.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like, oh, okay, that's only, 2 hours worth of knitting. And sometimes I'm like, I'm going to be here for 3 days.
Yeah. It's all those things.
Yep.
So that is, if I can go next.
Yes.
I'm working on an oldie but a goodie that I've talked about before, which is the Florence Cardigan. And my dear friends here can see that I only have about 3 inches of the body. Other people might have seen that I was almost all the way through the yoke. Well, on Wednesday I had to frog it. I mean, I'd known for a long time I needed to frog it. A terrible thing happened at the beginning of the body. I was 5 stitches too many on one front and 5 stitches too few on the other front. And I didn't discover it until I was, oh goodness, I think I was probably only 20 or 30 rows away from finishing the yoke.
Bye.
I think I had like 3 lace repeats left.
That's so sad.
And it's 24 for that many. So then I'm like, okay, here's the plan. I can try to do a sweater surgery, and if it doesn't work, I have to start the body over. If it does work, I'm good. But that's when I knew one side was off. So I dropped the whole sleeve part of the stitches, freed the sleeve out, accessed the side stitches, dropped all those down to the problem spot, which is almost the beginning of the body, and I re-knitted all the way across, shifting everything by 5 stitches. I got it all the way back up. I re-knitted the sleeve back in. All the way back up. All the way back up. Victory. It took like a day's worth of knitting time. So then I get to the top of where I was, and I'm like, woo, at the top of the mountain. I count, and the two fronts still don't match. So, it's 5 stitches off over here too. So then I'm like, okay, well, you did it once.
Yeah.
Do it again. So I drop it all the way down again. The problem is that this yarn shows your stitches beautifully. It also shows your mistakes.
Yeah.
So when you're re-knitting like that, you're not getting it all the way even across.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't that happy with how it looked, and I didn't know how it was going to block out. But that's okay. I tried the second side anyway. And some of the ladders got tangled, and I just got too frustrated to figure out whose ladder was who.
Right. Forget about it.
So I was sharing that with my Dream Sweater Workshop people, and they had some encouraging words, and they were like, well, what if you did this? What if you did that? No. I have the sleeves made. I'm going to finish this sweater.
Is this the sweater you also spilled coffee on?
Yes, it's the sweater. So I've already restarted the sweater because I spilled tea on it. Yeah. And tea dyeing is very successful. So this is it's called Oyster. It's a really light gray. Tea shows up great on it.
Mm-hmm. Tea stain is a thing.
It is. So this is my second go, but my sleeves have been done all this time. Through all the problems and foibles of the sweater, my sleeves have been done.
Well, that's
so
something.
If my sleeves weren't done, I would have ripped the whole body out and taken this yarn to be something else.
Yeah.
But the sleeves are done.
Yeah.
And I want this sweater. So
you are a better woman than I. I would have ripped the sleeves out.
About this sweater.
Yeah.
But sweaters are my kryptonite. They're also, I guess, the roots for me. Like, since those are done, to me, the most irritating part of the sweater is complete.
Sleeves. Yeah.
And that's speaking to someone who started this body for the third time. But I want this sweater in this yarn. I would even make a second one.
I love that color. But I love gray.
The color I'm okay with. It's not silver. A me color usually.
It's a very wearable color.
Yeah. But I do really like it.
It's
and
a good
this
part
yarn is
of your
amazing.
wardrobe.
Yeah.
What yarn is it?
It's Turn by Quince and Company. And I really, really
What's
like
the fiber content on that?
It's a blend of silk and wool, and maybe that's it. I don't have a tag with me.
It's pretty.
It's really lovely, and it feels great. And so I am willing to persevere. And this is to the goal setting part. So this sweater will be finished in its time. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to do one lace repeat, because this can get a little overwhelming, because these are more than 10-minute rows right now. Mm-hmm. And so if I do one lace repeat every day, I'll have the body done in 12 days.
How many rows is a repeat?
Good, actually.
8. It's 8 rows. So it's an
hour-ish. Not bad. Yeah.
Hour and a half of attention to this project. Mm-hmm. It means I can devote my flippant brain to other things, which I got very distracted, and I'm also working on a sweater called Sunshine Coast by Heidi Kiermar. It's a really cute pullover.
Oh, yeah.
One of my Dream Sweater students is making it, and it has some really cool short row shaping in the back to build up the neck, and then you go into it, and very simple.
In green?
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. It's really, she's doing a good job, and I really kind of fell in love with it along with her.
It has some yarn over details at the top.
Just simple yarn overs. There's yarn overs on the side to make it kind of A-line and swingy. It's another good one from Heidi Kiermar. And it's a different, because some of her sweaters have that same rhythm of yoke increases. And this one's a more conventional raglan, but it still has her design aesthetic to it. And it's been really fun to make.
With these specific markers, and you do different things at different places.
And I always have really enjoyed the way that she organizes her patterns.
I've never knit one of her patterns. I've helped people, so I'm familiar, but I've never used one.
It's just really highly organized. And it's nice to, when you get it, to jump in there and know, you can figure out the landscape of her pattern really swiftly, and they're easy to execute and usually have some great detail to them.
It might take a little bit for a person who's not accustomed to her numbering organization.
Oh, it does
make sense once you get it, but it does kind of, you have to think about it, because if you're not accustomed to it, but I think it's worth getting to know.
She's ready for that sweater.
Yeah, she's doing a good job.
She's a person who has more skill than confidence. This particular person, because
I hope you're listening because you're really good.
She's a newer knitter, but I think she has the potential to really be a strong knitter.
And she has a terrific attitude about it too.
She does.
Because we had to rip the whole thing out once, and she was like, "Oh well, if I have to do it, I have to do it." And it was like, "Okay."
Partly why I ripped that sweater out on Wednesday. Because I was like, look at what I'm going to do right now.
Yeah. Look, you can do it too.
Hopefully not again.
Yeah.
Once you've had to do like a sweater surgery or something, once you've gone through that pain once and come out the other side, it's not so scary or daunting because speaking of, so this is a good segue into our I
don't get to talk today.
That's fine. So anyway,
never mind. I'll save that point.
Come back and segue.
Do a loop on your segue and go back around.
Take a tour of.
We were totally talking about that.
Yeah, that
somewhere.
was on the last episode where we talked about our segue. Anyway,
it's becoming a thing.
Are you working on anything else?
Yes. Thank you for asking because my Instagram froze, so I couldn't look up. I'm really excited. I don't know if I mentioned this last time, but I'm very excited about this sewing challenge that's led by That's So Monica, and it's that SEW Monica, and she's so cool. And she leads the Sew Your View sewing challenge every month, where she announces a pattern that everyone's challenged to pick their view and make and interpret on their own.
What does that mean? So, pick your view.
Like on conventional patterns, view A, view B, view C.
Oh, okay. Because I thought you meant literally, like, if I was looking at this thing somewhere.
Like your literal view?
Interpret, like, if you're in a figure drawing class and you draw it from your perspective, and why is the boob there? So, the pattern this month is McCalls 7912. So, you won't hear this in time to do February, but people are welcome to look at past months and post if you feel drawn to this. It's a really cool crossover jacket. It's unlined, so I'm going to do Hong Kong seams, which I've never done before.
No idea what that is.
Oh, they're so cool. You take bias binding and you just wrap your raw edges with bias binding, and it's really beautiful. It's perfect for unfinished seams.
You do that before you do seams?
You need to do them after the seam.
So does it cover both pieces of fabric?
Okay.
I'll show you a picture. It's you open your seam and flat.
Oh, I understand.
Yeah.
What?
Like you press the seam open and you sew it on top?
Yes. I mean, there's other ways to use bias binding.
Okay.
You can do a flat fell seam.
Because I saw someone else enclose their seams in a binding.
That's probably got some
that's more like a flat fell seam.
But flat fell is still attached.
So they just covered it.
They just covered it.
Well, that's pretty too. This is a Hong Kong seam, so it's a picture of a
look
pressed open seam with bias binding on the raw edges. But look how pretty that is,
because you're binding. Even though now, is that on the outside or the inside?
You can make it on the outside. You'll see it in threads sometimes as a feature of here's this cool thing you can do. Put your seams on the outside.
And this will be on the inside with really cool fabric.
And I have a cool plaid, and then I have a neat little bubble.
Is that what you were cutting out?
Yeah. There's a picture on my Instagram of me cutting it out. And when patterns lie to you about how much yardage. I was really hoping this was lying to me about how much yardage, but it was exactly enough. I wonder if they're getting more honest about that. Maybe.
So since we're at the end, we're taping this at the end of February. Is there a March setup that people can?
Well, she announces it.
Okay, but
you can also look. It's not the end of.
She hasn't announced it yet.
It's not close enough.
It's February still, Karen. You can borrow my pattern. It's all cut out. You can pick your own fabric.
No, I want to know what March is.
I know you do, but March 1st! I get really excited about the first of the month because there's new Audible originals, there's new Sew Your View, and there's new, my subscription
I've always been a look ahead.
Tough.
In
this moment now.
In the school test, when they said don't open your books till we said, I had the corners peeled.
One time I got caught doing that in first grade, and my classmate embarrassed me, and I was crying behind my little privacy folder.
That's
I can remember it so vividly, big salty tears falling on my test booklet because someone caught me peeking.
That's so sad.
I got caught. It didn't stop me.
So I was thinking about sewing it tonight, but I'm tired. so I probably won't.
But you've got all the pieces cut.
I've got it cut, so I have to do it this weekend.
It's a jacket, you said?
It's a
I could Google it.
Yeah, but I'll show you real quick. The rest of you listeners will have to look.
I'll link to it.
This
is kind of cool. Oh, that's neat.
Yeah, and she you tag it, and then she'll put it on the blog on that she'll
feature
feed.
It.
She wants you to take a picture of you wearing it though, because I didn't get in the finished stuff on last month because I didn't take a picture of me wearing it.
Yeah, there's all these pictures of. You did January's.
I did do January's. It's that cute top with the little
key.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
So she'll link to you if you do it later, because there's another one from I don't know if it was December was cute pajamas, which I'm gonna make those pajamas
and wear them at the studio.
Yeah, maybe those might be my studio pajamas. They have alpaca and they're gonna have gray piping on them. No, they did a cape poncho thing, and what I really am enjoying about her selections is they're not fashions that I look at the pattern and see me in, but then when I see other people making them,
that's a great way to find new patterns that you wouldn't have thought of before.
Yeah, so I really like these challenges so far, and I'm doing something weird that I haven't done in a long time, which is I'm following the pattern instructions. Because I get how a dress goes together, I get how a shirt goes together, but I think one of her motivations, I'm just guessing, because actually I think it says in her blog, talking about this tag, is she wants to challenge and build skills. So she's choosing things that are approachable but have some really neat, either you could add something to them like the Hong Kong seams, or you could build your general skill.
How do I sign up?
You don't have to sign up, you just do it.
You just watch.
You just do it and use the hashtags.
Yeah. Okay.
That's interesting.
It's cool. So
I'll star that.
That's the other thing we're working on. It's not right here in front of me because I'm on row 6 of tonight's
of your 8.
But I can't wait to sew on that this weekend.
Cool.
What are you making, Katie?
I am currently working on the Rio Dress, which is a baby dress. I blocked one recently for a customer, and it was so cute, and I have a niece due May 8th. I don't think my sister listens to this, but it's for her.
Spoiler, Katie's knitting something for your baby.
Yeah. She's not gonna know. So I'm knitting a little dress out of this koigu, which I haven't worked with koigu in years, but it's kind of like a lavendery purple with some grays, and I asked my sister what do you want, basically, or do you have colors that you like or whatever, because she has 2 boys, this is her first girl, and she said that she thinks she's going to put her in a lot of dresses. So I was like, well, I should probably knit a dress. And this is a really cute little top down raglan. You do some increases for the skirt. It's very simple. Right now I'm in the middle of 9 inches of stockinette stitch, but it's cute. And
very cute. And a great color.
Yeah, it's an interesting purple because it's not just lavender. It's got some gray tones and warm grays, and I really like it. And it's got little seed stitch details, so it's not completely stockinette stitch. So I'm working on that. I finished a couple things. I have a bag of finished objects to talk about. I have...
That is so cool.
This is the Cold Spring Cowl by Edition Knitwear. It's a free pattern on Ravelry. It's a 1 skein, DK weight, simple cowl that's got ribbing at the top, stockinette stitch, and then it's got ribbing at the bottom, but that's split at the bottom. It's got an opening, so it sort of sits around your shoulder, and you can tuck it into a jacket.
You look very smart on.
It's a really easy... I would make another one. It took me... everybody says, oh my gosh, you knit so fast. It took me a day to make it.
Well, it's 250 yards?
It was 231 yards on size 7 needles. And I have a lot of knitting time that day.
You are fast, and if you have a lot of knitting time.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised.
I'm not ashamed that I made it in one day. But it did take me one day. We watched a movie Wednesday night, so I knitted I got through the top ribbing during the movie, and then I knitted a little bit the next morning. I knitted at work, and there you go. Now it's done. And I knit it in 1 skein of yarn from a dyer on Etsy called Beauty Mark Yarn. And she's the same yarn dyer that I'm using for my Kia socks. Not IKEA socks, Kia, K-I-A socks. That bright green. So she's really good at bright.
Did we already talk about what the Kia socks were?
Last week. The by
Last
Dawn Landix. So the yarn is the same as that dyer. She's really, really good at bright colors. This is like a neon orange, like coral red. It's bright, and I love it. She was recently posting on her Instagram, she dyed like a companion skein to this, which is like really soft, gentle, like minty greeny, and she was like, it's so out of my comfort zone to dye that, and she dyed this at the same time to sort of balance herself out.
What is that color called?
It's got an inappropriate name.
Oh. Can you bleep yourself? Or can you just say it?
It's called I Want to Tear You Apart. There's an F word stuck in there.
Oh.
It's based on a song.
Okay.
Which is one reason why I bought it, is it was a song that I remember from high school, and she was like, she posted on her Instagram story listening to the song and dyeing this color, and I was like, I totally forgot about that song. Aww. So we had this nice conversation about it, and so I had to buy one from her. But she's very sweet. I highly recommend her yarns. So I finished that, and then I did a test knit for the aforementioned Dawn Landix, who designed the Kia socks. This is, the pattern for this is called the Cottage Hat.
It's beautiful.
It's a worsted weight hat.
At that Pom Pom.
Isn't this amazing Pom Pom?
That's a good Pom Pom.
She was like, throw a Pom Pom on it if you want. And I was like, yeah, I'll put a Pom Pom on any hat. That's
a nice big Pom Pom.
Can I make a Pom Pom side?
Yeah.
Have you seen the Pokemon Pom Pom book?
No.
You probably need to buy it and make them all for your husband.
And my niece. She's very into Pokemon right now.
A Pokemon Pom Pom. I
Can't
even say that.
It's recommended with the animal one you bought recently.
Oh, cool.
I just saw it at McCalls, and then I saw it on Amazon too.
I'm writing it down. Pokemon Pom Pom.
Yeah. Because when you can make a Pom Pom that puffy and beautiful, your Pokemon.
I need to look into that.
Monsters are going to be real good.
So this I knit with Malabrigo worsted. They're single ply, so it's nice and soft and squishy. It's a simple little cable-y pattern. I put a giant pom-pom on it, and my hot tip for you is to steam your pom-poms. If you make a pom-pom out of wool or like a animal fiber, shoot it with some steam and it puffs it up a little bit. I did like a before and after picture of like my scraggly little pom-pom and then my big fat pom-pom. Also pack as much yarn as possible onto your pom-pom makers. Yes. Like more than you think is physically possible. So it's difficult to close them.
Mine always end up football shaped.
Well, you still have to trim them.
Yeah. So, I made a pom-pom for a sample that I submitted for a design once, and it was like a mini hat that ended up fitting Mirabella when she was an infant. Mm-hmm. So maybe like it ended up 18 inches around. And then I made this monster size, the big pom-pom, the big turquoise clover pom-pom. I made that with all the colors I put into it. So there was more yarn in the pom-pom than in the hat sample.
I can believe that.
The pom-pom was like as big as her little baby head. And so we would put her cute little head in that, and then it would just slowly slide off her hairless head because the way it hold on to it. The pom-pom. That's so funny. It was so cute. It didn't matter how impractical it was in all ways.
I love a good pom-pom. So a hat, and then I have another hat that was another test knit hat.
I enjoyed your discovery process in this hat.
My colors. Yeah. So this is by my friend Adriana. I'll link to her Ravelry and Instagram. I don't know if the pattern will be out by the time this comes up. I think she's gonna have it out like mid-March, so I don't know if it will be ready by then. But I think the name of the pattern is the In Bloom hat, and it's a Fair Isle 3 colors with some flower motifs on it.
Really cute.
It was very fun to make. Fingering weight, 3 colors and a base color. So I have like a medium brown as my base color, and then I have like a pale yellow, a green, and an orange for my 3 colors. They're not the colors I intended to use. I wanted to do the yellow, the green, and a purple, but the purple I had did not have enough contrast with the
purple looked really pretty in the color picture.
It looked good with all the colors, but then I started knitting it and you couldn't differentiate the purple from the brown. Nope.
So that tip that you did, if you could restate that, was so helpful.
So if you have 2 yarns that you want to put together for color work or stripes or something, take a picture of them in black and white and you can tell the difference in the color value. If they look the same, like the same tone of gray in black and white, then they're not going to have enough contrast for it to show the pattern once you knit it. So I did that with the purple. I started knitting it and then I took a picture and realized that you really couldn't see. So
but you can make another hat with the purple and the yellow and green and orange.
Yeah.
Which that would be pretty cool color palette.
I didn't want this orange in there. I like the color palette in general, but it would have been more springy, like flowers, whatever, with the purple. But, you know.
I like it.
You live and you learn. It was fun. This one doesn't have a pom-pom.
When you're in your 90s. No pom-pom.
So do you do a lot of test knits?
I have recently.
Like. How do you find out who to test knit for?
I've just been active on Instagram, and I know Adriana I've known her on Instagram for years, so
that's cool.
I follow her pretty closely, and she said, I need testers for this hat, and so I said, okay.
So there's a sewer that I follow who, hopefully I can find her real quick. She raised an interesting question about sewing, like testing sewing patterns more so, and I'm very curious about the attitude of indie sewing pattern designers compared to indie
knitting pattern designers.
Because it feels like, in my comments when she posted this, I feel like there should be a delineation between a tech editor and a sample maker to a test knitter. And so
in the knitting world, there is definitely a difference, and they're not interchangeable.
Well, what she makes a good point of is, I mean, one of the points of test knitting is to get it out in the world to get attention for it, right?
Yep.
And the other is to make sure it's feasible and works.
Right.
But one would hope that you've had it tech edited before you're test knitting it, or that you have.
If it's a big designer, then yes. For some of the smaller, like really small designers who are trying to get out there, I've seen this really, really interesting conversation emerge on Instagram lately about sort of like gatekeeping in the knitting community and designing specifically, where it's like people want to break into designing, but they feel like all this knowledge is sort of, you have to earn it for yourself.
Yes.
And it's not readily available, like, how do I do this? How do I do that? So I've seen larger designers taking the time to sort of be like, hey, ask me questions that you have, or like, let's open up the conversation a little bit. If you need help with something, please ask me. It's not like this secret guarded knowledge, like, I know how to design and grade and edit a pattern.
Some people feel that way. And
some
people feel the gatekeeper way.
Yeah. And I think that recently people have been trying to become better known in the community, and like I've been trying to break into not me specifically, but people would be like, I'm trying to break into designing, but I'm confused by this aspect, and it feels like, I don't know who started the conversation, but it felt like someone said, I don't understand why this is like guarded information. Like, why can't...
It's not...
Well, because not everybody feels like a rising tide.
Yeah.
So it's... When I was starting out as a designer, there's some designers that are very proprietary about their stuff and very guarded. Most designers are... Most designers want to be helpful, but they don't necessarily... There's some people that are good personalities to be mentors to others, and some people are... There's teachers... Some people are more suited towards teaching and mentoring than others. Many people are working through their own process, and it's not that they're guarded about it.
They don't know how to answer the question. Maybe.
They just don't necessarily... It's not necessarily... It's sometimes they're just not in a position to be willing to or have the time to mentor someone else. But there are some people, like if you go to the budding designer board on Ravelry, not the designer board, because you'll find more preciousness on the designer board. And most of the time they refer people who want that mentorship to the budding designer board.
Well, that's good.
Because the people that run that board are more likely to be helpful in that way.
Well, back to test knitting, like, because I guess there's a sense that sometimes a test sew is to promote, and sometimes it's just to test. Like, I would think, like, when I'm test knitting something, the value of the pattern designer giving me the pattern is for me to say, hey, I made this, if I like it. And I'm getting this small amount of value. But if I didn't want that thing, I wouldn't participate in it, you know? Like,
I've seen it sort of from both sides of that coin in testing these two different hats. Is that the Cottage Hat I sent her a message and I said, I'm happy to test it for you. Can I share pictures of it in progress or the finished hat before she gave us a deadline, like you need to be done by whatever date? And she said, I'd like it to be a secret until it's released.
Right.
And then for this other hat with the flowers and the color work on it, she was like, no, share all the pictures you want, share your process, share pictures of it before it's released, so I can see both sides of it, being like, this was more like, let's spread the word, let's get the pictures out there, let's get people excited about it. This was more like, I need help tech editing, I need help.
So how do you, because like I've only done one test knit because it has to be a really hot property for me to want to put my like
time and effort,
flippant emotional attachment to a project into it, because I get distracted and want to do my own thing. So so I did my boy lollipop over the summer. Yeah. Loved making it. Loved talking to the designer. I feel closer to her and more excited about her stuff now. And I just really enjoyed that whole process. So I felt like I got what I needed out of it, but I knew what I was getting into too. Like, this is the time it'll probably take me. This is what I'm getting from it. Okay, I'm fine with that.
Yeah. Well, and
how do you, like, the question I want to ask is, do you feel like you are getting a good value proposition from being a test knitter? And I mean, I'd love both of you to.
I don't do it very often, but I did in these two particular cases because one of them is like a newer designer. I've enjoyed her other pattern that she gave me for free, and this is a pattern that she's charging for, and so I feel like I have knowledge that can be helpful to somebody. Not that I'm like whatever. No. But I feel like my testing is valuable for them.
Yes.
It also helps promote them, and it's a way for you to honor and share. Here's a designer I really like, and I want to promote, and I want to help.
And
why do you want that? You're just a knitter. Like, because, why do you want to give that person that? It's a philosophical question.
Okay.
Yeah. Why? Because I like helping people. So I think that, like, by me knitting it, it's good for me because I feel like I'm helping somebody, and it's good for them because they feel like, you know, there may have been mistakes in her pattern or whatever. I don't know. I think this one was tech edited before I got it because it was pretty good. This one I don't.
They have to.
No. Well, I've done it because the other one wasn't tech edited, and I found some mistakes in the chart and like different things. So it was helpful to her to have. I think, but she has other tech knitters. I don't know what their contribution has been to it. But
part of the thing that used to be is people would say, if you have testers, do you need a tech editor? And the answer is yes. Yeah. Because if you are using your testers to be tech editors, when they're not trained necessarily for it, right? If you have errors, and they're expecting an error or close to error-free pattern, you're setting future people up to not like your stuff because they're having to do the errors that, they got it for free, but that's not really their job. Yeah. Their job is to test it to make sure it really is to help promote it. But your tech editor is going to crunch your numbers, and they're going to make things technically sound so that your testers are like part of your last phase. Right. Yeah. So they're testing to make sure, okay, sure, technically this is sound, but is this fun to work on? Yeah. And your testers are the ones who are going to say, yeah, it was okay, but meh. Yeah. Or they're going to go, oh, I can't wait to get another one.
So as a test maker, because I've never been offered or participate, because I'm not that into the indie sewing scene so much as I'm deeply ingrained in the indie yarn designer scene. So in the one test that I've done, I understood what my role was. I enjoyed the process. I felt like I got the value that was appropriate because I would have bought that pattern anyway. Yeah. And I had a richer experience of it. So, and in a sewing pattern, especially an indie sewing pattern, I think I would feel like I got the value because those patterns are upwards of $20.
Indie sewing patterns are expensive, but if I find someone like Noodlehead that I really, or Cashmerette, if I find a company that's independent that I really want to support, that I like their stuff, if it's a solid piece that I can use in my wardrobe over and over again or make multiples of, then to me that $20 might be okay. But I think they do their testing mostly in-house and not necessarily in the public.
I'm seeing a lot, but it sounds like actually maybe they're going around and inviting influencers to do it.
Oh, okay.
And so they are hoping to get
it's a promotion. It helps promote. Yeah.
And so it's just, and that's what this girl has. She has a lot of followers. She's really cool. What is it? The Unfinished Seamstress. She makes cool things. Otherwise I wouldn't have started following her, right? Because it's hard to like impress me with sewing just because I've been doing it for so long that I'm like a little reticent to be in this new wave of indie sewers. It's like, whatever, I was doing it before it was cool, you know. But then I'm trying to have the beginner mindset of, you know, this is a really cool emerging way of attacking sewing.
Well,
so I'm new to the indie sewing world in a sense.
I would love to get on that. I know that recently, because in the past trying to get testers, which are different from sample knitters. Sample knitters get paid to make that samples.
Who are making a physical object for you to have.
Because maybe as a designer, you design so many things. There's just not enough hours in the universe to make everything on the timeline. So a sample knitter gets paid to make your sample while you're writing the pattern, or after you've written the pattern, you have someone actually knit your sample for you. That's different than a tester. But I just discovered a site that runs tests they run the testing. So the great thing is let's say you're someone who likes to do tests, and especially for smaller designers, there's a place called Yarn Pond, one word, yarnpond.com. POND, like the pond,
like a pond to swim in
a pond to swim in the pond. Okay. And there's a new ebook called Yarn People. They're just about to release issue 2 later in mid-March. It's all going to be called Brioche Plus, including crochet brioche. Kind of cool. I didn't know crochet could brioche, but it's going to be fun.
I saw something that looked like brioche that was crocheted.
Okay.
So it's
there's
been
something
an intriguing
like that.
Question that's popped up.
So there's all kinds of stuff in that issue, and I found a designer, Fabian Gassman, and he is really cool. And I love this brioche. Now, it's a brioche hat. When you would think, well, there's lots of brioche hat patterns, right? But what he does differently is his is meant specifically for you to mix your stash in various, to mix your fingering or mix your mohair with it and get different colorways by blending the colors. And so I did a test for that, and he was really well written.
It's very cute.
Isn't that cool?
Yes.
Some of the testers just did 2 colors, and I'm like, what?
No,
you have an opportunity to just throw it. And I had yarn. Did you see the pile? I had like 15 different yarns that went into that hat, and I still had yarn to spare. But when you sign it, you can go there and you can look for open calls, and all the rules and expectations are there, including if you find errors, how to communicate it to the designer. If the designer says you can do teaser photos, but don't do any up until the point where we release the lookbook, and then you can show things off and make Ravelry pages. But I like to be able to, this gives me an opportunity to test for people I didn't know before.
That's real neat. I think because I'm fickle in all things, like the My Boy Lollipop was timed perfectly. It's really cute. You guys need to look at it if you haven't looked at it and cast it on when I originally talked about it. Why haven't you? And like the time frame and the expectations, they were all just like a perfect fit. So it looks like, because I've seen some other really cool things that I thought about test knitting, but the time frames and the yarn requirements, they just didn't mesh with where I was that day.
Why aren't they more hours in the day? Because I was waiting on this to be a quilter test for the quilting patterns, because I think that would be fun. And the first time in like 6 months that finally came up, and I don't have time.
Yeah.
That sucks.
And I was like, I hesitated for only 2 hours before, like, should I not? And it filled up in 2 hours.
See, I'm like, also don't like elbowing for a spot in something.
Yeah. Well, that's
why I'm never going to Comic-Con again.
No, it was best for me, because then I was like, oh, I asked to be on this list, and now I don't have time, and so for me, it was better to wait. But if I'd really wanted to do it, at least I had an opportunity to step. I wish I could do that for sewing patterns. I want some of these independent sewers to open up testicles so I can sew their patterns.
But I don't know how common.
How do you get on those lists?
I don't know. So that's where I'm new and I don't know.
Yeah.
If you know, put it in the comment section.
Right.
Help us know.
So, we do welcome comments. Just to say that too. We want to hear from you. Even if you just said hi.
Yeah. Or hey, I listened to this.
Yeah, that would be really heartwarming.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Do you have anything else in your magic bag?
No, I finished a sweater that was in it was in this basket of unfinished things. I cast on 2 years ago. It's Encore chunky, very simple pullover, cardigan. I finished it, and then it sat in my basket waiting for me to sew the pockets down and to pick up and knit the ribbing on top of the pockets. And it sat in there for a year, and I thought, someday I'll finish that. And then it sat after having the pockets finished for another year because I needed to get around to blocking it and sewing the buttons on. And then I found it the other day, and I was like, this is stupid. Why don't I finish this dumb sweater? So I blocked it and I sewed the buttons on.
That sweater that you were doing the buttons on tonight?
Yeah. It's been in various stages of finishing for 2 years.
It's not like you to.
I know, and I don't know why I put it off or why I was meh. I think because it was a chunky weight, and at the time when I finished it, I didn't have a good place to block it, so I was maybe someday. But now I have no excuse to not finish it.
You block
circumstances get you to a place where
it took all week to dry, but it was dry today, and I sewed the buttons on, so that I did finish.
You can always use my fan. That fan.
Oh, I have
is
a fan too.
Miracle.
I have a fan too.
But that fan is a miracle fan.
That's the 6th Street cardigan. That's the name of the pattern.
So sorry that I think that you're wrong about your button choice.
I put up a story on my Instagram story that was I need buttons. I think I said in it, I need buttons for this sweater. I dug around in my desk. These are the only buttons I have that work or that are the right size, and they were these big black shiny buttons that I didn't think went with the sweater. And in the story, in the video, I'm saying these are not good. This isn't gonna work. I need to find different buttons. Apparently, Anne watched that story with the volume up and was like, "Oh, those
and you're
buttons are awesome."
You're showing it in the camera all sparkly, and I'm falling in love. And I can't wait to see you wearing this.
And then
sweater.
she's like, "Why didn't you sew those buttons on?" I'm like, "Well, did you listen? I said I didn't like those buttons."
Listening's for suckers.
Yeah. So no, I did not use the shiny.
If I had the volume up, everyone would know.
I also always have headphones in.
Oh, that's awesome.
I just don't put the volume on Instagram because sometimes I don't have the headphones in, and if I am looking, I don't want anyone to know. You're right.
Speaking of, so many times I have my headphones on, but I may have to pause it, or turn it off if I have to do something else. But I don't necessarily take them out of my ear, off my head, and so at home, no one really knows if they can talk to me or not. And sometimes I just leave them on, but turned off.
Oh yeah.
So I've got my family trained so well that yesterday when I was making dinner, I didn't even have them on, and my husband's like, "Are you listening? Can we talk?" And I'm like, yeah, nothing in my ears now. So.
That's funny.
So,
any other topics?
What time? How long have we been going?
We've been talking for an hour and 10 minutes so far.
That's
so we
usual
This
time.
is a topicless one. This is just our free for all.
Plus,
I totally forgot we had a topic. I was like, we're doing fine. We have that other segment we can do.
We have that other segment. Plus,
I legitimately forgot. I wrote it down what we were going to talk about today.
So maybe we're going to break this into part 1 and part 2.
We have a pre-recorded segment that we recorded, but we didn't put it on the last podcast. It's a couple minutes worth of us opening some mystery yarn that Karen got us. I was going to stick it on the end, and I kept thinking that was going to be the next segment. But we had a whole other topic we were going to talk about.
I think we saved that one for next time.
Sure.
We haven't told them what it was.
No.
We shut Karen down.
Secret. So after we
that
wrap
actually wasn't what I was going to talk about.
After we wrap this up,
you're still on your segue.
She's still doing the loop around.
Zooming around. She'll have to be zooming until next month.
Oh my gosh.
Now I can't even remember where I was going to segue to.
Okay.
After this segment, you'll hear us opening mystery yarn that Karen brought us. But
I mean, I feel like we had some very good organic conversation.
I appreciated that. That could have been a backup topic.
We had a great topic, but I guess you'll have to. It's
You'll
a
just have to
mystery.
keep
You have to
listening to
wait
find
till
out.
next time.
That's really funny.
Tune in next time.
Maybe.
Yeah, if we get to it then.
You guys will never. Well, you don't know if we'll get to it because we haven't told you what it was.
Okay, so this is a special segment that we're recording.
Special segment.
Karen has a thing she wants to do. I don't know what you want to call this.
We're going on a blind date.
Night, yeah.
It's kind of like a date night with yarn.
Blind date night.
A blind date. One of my new faves since last summer, anyway, indie yarn dyer out of Manchester, England, is Countess Ablaze. Love her for so many reasons. She's a super introvert. She's super quiet, but yet she, in her altar life, she's a burlesque. So it's a way of being able to express. I applaud that she can express herself, but she also does it with amazing color and yarn, and actually she has fingering yarn and she has sock yarn, and she tells you why they're not the same. They don't all go together. But towards the end of the year, they have this thing where they pull together just different skeins of yarn, and they put them in little bags, and you cannot see what's in them. She invites you to have a blind date with this yarn. And for this particular blind date set, I guess they went on Tinder for the names of their yarn of these packages. I have not been on Tinder, being a married woman since before there was internet. So
now I did internet date a little bit. Like I did Match.com, and then there was the other one.
My son doesn't listen, so I can say this because I wish he would go and do some internet
well,
dating.
It's so different now.
The internet dating is totally different nowadays than it used to be.
It's not so sketchy as it seemed before.
Tinder does seem very sketchy.
Okay,
though.
well, yeah.
But
there are different apps, though. Tinder is a app that you can use to connect with other singles in your area, I think.
For whatever ends. But I've heard
whatever you want that to be.
2 love stories of people I know had Tinder as an aspect.
Yeah.
So
it's not all bad. Yeah. It's a way to meet people.
But there
for
are
whatever you want to meet
people for. I don't want to ever do again. Interview for a job or
date. Yeah.
So
your yarn is inspired by Tinder, or the names of the colorways are inspired by Tinder?
Yes, but we do not know what we're gonna get.
They're blind dates.
So there's 3 of them, right?
I've got 3 blind dates right now. I'm taking them out of the International Priority Royal Mail Par Avignon bag.
So
from Countess Ablaze.
She is very body. So this is gonna be very good.
So because I'm older and I'm not so internet savvy, I may ask you guys to explain these things.
I love enlightening people.
So what are the names of our colorways?
Our choices. Actually, I'm not gonna. This is totally blind.
I want the memes and vines one.
You're not supposed to read that.
I want that one.
There's a sticker I want. I don't know if it's that one.
Oh, well, I'm mixing them up, and no one knows what they're
just want
gonna
the sticker.
get.
I'll take whatever package I get.
Since you're the youngest,
the most savvy.
But I want the memes and vines one.
Okay, we can also trade.
I know.
Who picked their office first? I think it was you.
No, I got the leftover.
She got last.
I just lucked out and got what I wanted.
First.
Okay, then
I want to pick first.
Okay.
She got to pick off.
Okay, these are little black bags, and
completely opaque.
We
cannot see the name of our date right now. Oh, you just flipped it over.
But you don't know which one this is.
No peekies.
No, you're right. I was holding it to the light. I still can't see.
Okay, pick one.
Da, da, da.
Okay,
what'd you get?
This is the one I wanted.
Oh, perfect.
If you guys don't know, I work in a funeral home, so this is very amusing to me. Okay, it says, medically dead inside, partial to the existential crisis. I'm sorry, partial to an existential crisis and like to hug dogs.
That's what this person's profile says on their Tinder.
Medically dead inside.
Wow, how that was going to catch someone, who knows?
Cardiac arrest.
Okay, I got memes and vines.
Okay, I kind of know what a meme is.
Send only memes and vines?
I don't know, but I love a good vine.
Okay. Tell me what
Okay, so
it is.
So memes
for my generation.
Memes are things that go around the internet and spread virally. It could be a picture or a video. And a Vine, Vine used to, it's dead now, but it used to be a app that were short little 7-second videos. And some of them are very, very funny and still live on as memes today. Yes. So I appreciate a good meme and Vine.
Oh, and now I get to read this
You
one.
can go on.
Would you be fun? Mine says, "Don't even message me if your height is in your profile."
So that's a meme because people on Tinder complain that this. Okay, I have a funny story about this because I believe my cousin and his fiance met on a dating app. It might be Tinder, it might not be. I don't remember. But she says that he said something different about his height than in his profile than what he actually is, and he was shorter in real life than she assumed that he was, and she gives him a hard time about it. So men like to complain that girls only want to date tall guys.
It's true.
So
I will only date guys who are approaching 6 feet.
But you're married one, so there you go.
Well, so my husband
seems tall.
My mother-in-law she's lost some height because she has some spinal issues, but she's 5'9", 5'10" when I met her. And my father-in-law is about my height, 5'6". I would have never dated a guy that height.
Yeah.
So one time our middle son asked, "Daddy, what if you were Poppy's height?" And I said, because I remember the first time I saw Kevin in the dorms at UCSB, I said, well, I would have looked at him and thought, that is a very cute guy. Too bad he's so short. and then you wouldn't be here to ask that question. So another funny thing about height in men is that Kevin is 5'11" and a half.
Oh.
And if you ask his best friend, how tall are you?
Up?
How tall are you, Jason? Separate from each other. Yeah. Jason says 5'11" and a half. Like, why did you guys just say that you were 6 feet
Nobody's going to get out their measuring tape.
But they both 5'11" and a half.
That's funny.
Okay,
you go first because you opened yours. You picked yours first. And
so we have
first.
no idea.
I want to preserve my sticker because
I'm not even sure if I remembered I think I could choose what weight of yarn this was, but I'm not positive.
So I'm being like that person at
You're being like my husband
Christmas.
at Christmas.
Rip it.
But I want to keep the sticker.
So rip it from the other side.
It's too late. She's already halfway through.
Yeah.
James will open any package like the most
I
carefully.
am so not. You know what? The more I let it bother me, the slower she's gonna go.
She's almost
you
done.
Like carefully sliced your dip and you're like, what pretty paper. It's yarn in here.
Oh, good.
Oh, please. I have never had one of these, and I've
really
always
blank.
wanted one. It's a sock blank.
Oh, wow, those colors.
Orange.
Oh my gosh,
and
that
red.
is so your color.
It's a radiant. Look at this. I would never say that. That's so funny.
Really?
Oranges are not usually something I pick, but I love it.
No. I have heard you. I've seen you pick orange.
Oh, for a short time in the autumn this year, I had lusted after having an orange sweater, which I will have. But this is gorgeous.
My very bottom is like this, almost like a black cherry.
It goes from like orange to purpley
purpley black cherry.
That's awesome. We'll take pictures. We actually will this time because I think we said that before.
We always say
we'll take a picture and post it on our Instagram when this episode goes live. It'll be
it is. She calls it. Oh, it's just Blind Date, the classic society sock blank.
Cool. That's awesome.
So they're all. This is the line. Blind Date.
I don't know if the blind dates are. Blind dates were supposed to be. They might be skeins of yarn. They might be anything. They could be anything. That's
it. Reminds me of Christmas story.
So you have to be willing to partake in any possibility. It could be $1 million in this bag.
Oh my god!
$1 million. I'm leaving.
Countess of Blaze, what are you doing? Sending us $1 million in the mail? Don't you
know
you're not supposed to send cash in the mail? Maybe it's a check.
It reminds me of Christmas Story when they get that big package in the mail and the dad goes, "There could be anything in there."
It's a major award.
It's a major award.
Okay. Don't laugh at me, but I'm feeling it in this way.
Oh, Karen. Stacey Elaine, or whatever her name is, and you guys can Google that, okay?
You ripped it. Awesome.
I didn't mean to. Okay. Mine feels like a skein of yarn. Ooh!
Oh, that's pretty.
That's pretty.
This yarn is called Tia Merino is the base. It is lilac and purple and like the tiniest little touch of green and turquoise in it. And it's a single ply superwash merino.
Cool.
Fingering weight. Cool.
That is gorgeous.
And it's not a sock
I like
yarn.
it.
She's very clear.
Okay, so tell us.
So what's the
There's
difference between a sock and a fingering weight?
There is a
what
difference
you call fingering.
because not all fingering wet yarn is appropriate for socks.
It's true.
You're laughing about something that I didn't get.
Because I like to be a 12-year-old, and every time someo's like,
I just want
fingering yarn.
We all love fingering yarn. It's fine.
Okay, each one of us.
Tear it, Karen. Tear it.
See, I do the logical conclusion that I can tear the paper and still preserve.
Okay. I already told you today that you're a better person than me. Karen just lovingly inserted tailored pockets into something for her mother-in-law that looked like way too much work for me. She's a better person.
You're a better woman than I.
Yeah.
Well, it was more also okay. After a point, it became more of a what did I say? It's a
point of pride.
No, it's like it's on now. Okay, it was like okay, I am not gonna be bested by this.
You wanted Donkey Kong.
I did, and you know what? I rocked it, and I made it look like it had always had pockets. So,
Ooh, what'd you get?
This yarn is making Karen tingly.
Wow!
Oh my God, that's
Oh,
God,
I got the
That's
$1
pretty.
million skein. It's so pretty. Okay, so it's pale bubblegum pink going to a medium pink into a deep, pretty purpley fuchsia with lots of black.
That's gorgeous. What base is that?
This Lady Persephone sock yarn. This is, and you can feel the difference.
It's sock yarn.
Yeah.
It is a sock yarn.
Oh, this is fingering yarn.
It's okay. To me, in my stupid American ways,
Leicester.
It looked like Leicester.
I know.
Like
I think it's Leicester.
Leicester.
Blueface Leicester.
Leicester. 75. And I even my very first spinning was a bunch of this stuff. It spins really soft and lovely.
I think it has like a long.
It's
I like
4-ply, machine washable at low temperatures.
Cool.
But I am gonna hand wash my. Yeah, it is so pretty.
I like that.
And since it is sock yarn, I might actually make socks with it.
Well, Karen, thank you for the treat.
Yeah, thank you. That was so nice.
And it was so fun to like.
I thought it would be
Open
super.
it.
I wanted to support her, and plus she put them on a discount, so I thought this would be kind of fun to kind of get a surprise.
This is the only kind of dating I want to do.
Oh yeah.
There.
Anyway.
Okay. Well.
Thank you. Happy
Thank you
needling.
for listening.
Remember to like us on all the places that you listen, and if you feel like leaving a review, that would be really lovely. We do welcome comments and questions.
You can listen to it on iTunes, our website, SoundCloud, Google Podcasts. It's in there too. So any
And
of your
YouTube,
convenient...
and if you're on YouTube and you want to get notices, make sure you tap that bell. So that you
yeah, I think that's what you say. You subscribe
and tap that bell for notifications.
Also, we talk about our Instagrams a lot. So should we say what our Instagram handles are?
Let me introduce myself. I am Anne, and my main Instagram is AnneLand22.
LAND land.
Yes,
L.
Well, let me just spell it.
Anne with an E.
Yeah, it's ANNELAND 22. I get this phone message I have to listen to occasionally where this person says their whole name is their email and then a long business name, and she then proceeds to give it in the alphabet
A as in oh gosh.
Every single. I put the phone down. It lasts about a minute and a half, and then
you're ready to leave a message.
So you're welcome. I didn't do that.
You can follow me on Instagram at Katie Creates, Kaity. Karen?
You can follow me at KnitSpinner805, and that's KNITSPINNER 805.
And I think all of our Instagram handles are the same as our Ravelry names, right?
Yep, makes it easy.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, you can find me on Ravelry under the same thing.
You can find me on Ravelry, but I haven't done anything on Ravelry in holidays, I think they say.
All right, well, we'll see.
I buy patterns on Ravelry. But.
Yeah. But you're not actively participating in the platform?
No, I'm bad.
All right, we'll see you guys next month.